Hey, back here today with a new video. Gonna be doing just some regular maintenance on one of mine. It's over and under shotgun, believe it or not, made by Mossberg. It's a Mossberg Silver Reserve. It's been a very good gun for me and for my family. Little story behind it. I'll tell it while we're cleaning on it. If that sounds like something you want to watch, hang around. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is this Mossberg Silver Reserve. It needs some attention. Been a little neglected. We're going to take it apart for regular maintenance. Pull down on this tab. That'll let you release the fore end. Push the brake down lever, unlock the action, and that's it. Yeah, just a pretty simple design. Extremely this gun has been so reliable and so fun to shoot. I can't tell you how many clay targets have fallen. You see how that grease on the action's looking a little yellowed, a little cankered. We're gonna clean all that off. We're gonna give those bores some attention. We're gonna take the chokes out and we're gonna put in some, make sure they're good and clean, and put some anti-seize on the threads. We're going to get it ready for some more clay target action. And I told you there's a little bit of story behind this one. It's funny because a friend of mine, David Taylor, same one in the Glock video, who called me and told me that he had taken a Glock 23 in on trade and wanted to know if I was interested because he got a pretty good deal turned on it. And I told him sure. Well, he called me when Homestead was getting ready to go out of business, and he said, hey, I want to let you know we got some guns down here we're going to put on clearance, and you've been a good customer through the years. I want you to come down, take a look, see if there's anything in there you can't live without. So I went down there and gave a look over. He had a lot of stuff out on display, and I saw this sitting up there, and brand new. I said, what's that over and under? That sure looks nice. He said, that's a Mossberg. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I said, well, hand it over here and let me check it out. He handed it over to me, and of course, you know, I'm a lefty, so I don't really expect guns like this to fit me well. So I threw it up to my shoulder, and it's like, wow, this swings really good. And I was like, what we gotta have for it? And he said, let me check and see. He said, man, I can let you have it gun for $200 plus tag. I was like, holy cow, stick it in layaway for me. I'll be back to get it in a week or so. And so I went home and I told my dad about it. And I said, man, it seemed like a really nice gun especially for that kind of money. right now I'm just giving it a little going over with some special sauce. And my dad said, well, man, I'd like to have one of those. I wonder if he's got another one. I said, well, I'll call up there and see. I called David, and he said, no, I don't have another one. And for sure couldn't get another one for that price. So I said, well, I got $20 on it. I said, just let my dad come and get it out, and I'll let him have it. He said, okay, because all you had to put down was 10%. So Dad gave me my $20 back. Went down there, got the gun out, and proceeded to pay it out. He got it out of layaway, and I know he shot it a couple times, but literally only a couple. Every time the gun's been taken out and shot, it's been me. Sometimes my son Nathan would take it out, but I shot it when I was president of the gun club at Goodyear Tire and Rubber, where I used to work before I was a nurse, before the plant closed down. I guess I was president of that gun club up there for the last 5 or 6 years that the plant was in operation. And everybody would brag on my gun. They'd be like, let me see that, let me see that. And, you know, some of them had Parazzis and Berettas were a very popular gun. We had guys that had Morokus, and I mean, they were serious. And every one of them, when they first see this gun, they'd be like extremely curious as to what it is, you know. And when I tell them it was a Mossberg, oh my gosh, it didn't matter how sweet anything else worked or how nice it was. I mean, it's like they didn't even want to touch it. They didn't even want to show interest at that point. So I just started telling them, I don't know, really. I'd say it's my dad's. They'd be like, man, that's a nice shotgun. And, and then they'd roll it over, and they'd see it Mossberg International Silver Reserve, and they'd be like, is that like the Mossberg that makes my... I said, I don't know, I guess. After they'd done bragged all over my shotgun. You know, people can kind of be snobby on cheap guns. That's like them poor high points. You know, everybody gives... You come out, you got to the gun range, and you've got a high point. Boy, a lot of people get real snooty. And while they are like a brick and ugly as everything, you know, I had guys take my handgun permit class. I had nearly 8,000 students in the years that I was instructing that state permit class, not counting my advanced tactical pistol class and all that other stuff. But over that 23 years, I guess, I never had anybody bring a high point out to the range that didn't finish their course of 50 with no hiccups. Once they figured out how to pull that brick of a slide back, you know. But they ran. So this thing right here, man, it is as slick as they come. The chambers are so polished. that I would just set an empty clay target box by the station there, and I just kick it open and tilt it up. Them holes would fall right out into the box. They wasn't flying back in my face because it doesn't have ejectors, it just has extractors. And I just tilt the gun up and they just fall right in the box. And I found one strange thing about this gun that I literally found by accident. This gun has inside here, it has a pendulum that swings to block the trigger if you point the gun down. I had never seen that. I don't know, is that a thing with clay and bird guns? But literally, had I wanted to shoot a rabbit with it in all the years we've owned it, I could not have done so because my muzzle would have been aiming down and that pendulum swings. It literally swung to block the trigger from moving. So you had to be pointing it at least on a little bit of an incline before the trigger would release the hammers. And guess what I did? Well, you can shoot it no matter what way it's pointing now. I guess that'd be the best way to say that on YouTube. I do think I'm going to put a little brass polish on those pheasants right there. Bring that brass back out. They, you see how quick that was? These guns are so absolutely simple to clean. I brushed the bore. Now I'm going to swab the bore, and just with a bore mop. And we're basically, wow, we're basically done with that booger. Look how pretty and shiny those are. And like I said, I am going to get a little semi-chrome and see if I can polish up those gold pheasants on the side. They are definitely one of the sharp items about this that make it pop a little bit. They seem to have tarnished a little. Let's see if we can't untarnish them. Oh my goodness, got her slicked up a lot. Nice and pretty, huh? Buff her off a little bit. Nice. Yeah, clean it with a little of my Go Juice. Get clean paper towel instead of using that old funky one. Looking nice. Do the same over here. It's great. All right, so the thing to watch and the place to pay special attention to, too many guns. Too many guns that have a hinge breech have a premature life because people let this hinge area get worn. These two trunnions, that's what I'll call them, for lack of a better term, are what your action swivel on. You let these get rusted up or nasty looking, it makes a loose gun. So always keep those clean. Always put a little bit of high quality grease on them. It's very easy to do. Get the old grease out. Nice and clean looking. See, nice and clean in there now. Those two trunnions. I think that's what they call them on a cannon. So while this isn't a cannon, kind of the same principle. They're just camming surfaces that those that barrel hinges on. Many Thursday mornings, I used a shotgun with my dear friend, old school gun guy, duck call maker extraordinaire, and just old world craftsman, man, just all around, let alone a machinist, whatever else he set his mind to. Mr. Joel Harris. Many Thursday mornings. Oh man, that's so slick going together. We shot 75 rounds each of trap and skeet. Wow, locks up like a bank vault. Gotta love it, man, gotta love it. All right, let's show you what we do to these choke tubes. Let me get my choke tube wrench, I'll be right back. You talk about being a booger. I didn't realize it had been so long. I am glad that I had anti-seize on them to begin with, but I didn't realize it had been so long since they had been taken care of. That stuff had gotten thick and pretty nasty. So let's get those choke tubes cleaned off. I'm gonna let them soak in a little bit. Those threads good and clean. Yeah, that bottom one just came out very easy, but boy, the one on that top barrel, which for certain has probably been shot much more than the one on the bottom barrel. Obviously, if you were shooting singles and you hit it the first time. It's the top barrel that gets fired the most, but you can select here on your safety whether the over or under is fired first. I always keep it on the over, the O there, for it to be the first barrel that fires. And you adjust your choke tubes accordingly. I'm not sure. Get my glasses, which I do have right here today. I think they got a little overspray on them. I think I'm going to clean that up with a little bit of very fine sandpaper. I got some wet or dry paper here somewhere, and here it is right here. Gonna clean that up a little. Just a wee bit of rust on that one. This is very fine. This is, I think, what is it, 600 grit? Yeah. Yeah, get me a little more manageable size. Notice I'm not getting into the threads. I'm just doing the body of the choke. Looking a little better. Still a little rough over here. Since the machining grain goes that way, I think I'm going to go that way and not go across the grain. Don't want them fitting loose, that's for sure. There we go. Looking good. Looking good. Little rough spot right there still. And I believe the top one is an improved cylinder. And the bottom one, I think, is a modified. I've got other chokes at home, but very rarely. I don't know as I've ever had any other chokes in it except these two. The idea is hit the first bird with the most open choke and the tighter choke for the second shot. All right, that looks pretty good. Get those threads good and clean. I think the anti-seize that I'm using now is a little higher quality than the stuff I used the last time I cleaned these. It's copper colored, like the I guess it's the same type stuff that comes on a new Glock. When you get a new Glock, you know, you open it up and there's some little copper colored streaks in there that a lot of people think is grease. It's not grease, it's anti-seize. Let's see if it goes in better than it came out. Oh yeah, world of difference. Nice and slick. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. Give it a little hit with my magic juice. Yeah, this one came out much easier. No corrosion or anything there. Threads look good and clean. Like I say, the bottom barrel has a little easier life than the top one does. I don't know how many, but I have several days of all those years of shooting every Thursday. With this one, wrong tube. Almost put polish on there. Several days of shooting with this over those years that I shot 75 out of 75, but it wasn't many, once or twice. Maybe 3 or 4. I know I never did as well with my 1100. I don't think I ever, my 1100, I don't think I ever shot a 75 out of 75. I did a few times with this one. I had some 74s and many days with a lot less, but it got to be a running joke, you know, with us when we'd get to the point where we'd be down to like our last 5 birds. Mr. Joel would say something like, "I don't think you've missed any today," knowing darn well that I was counting. And he'd say that to kind of psych me out a little bit, you know. And most of the time it worked. I'd miss one in the last few birds. But don't you think I wouldn't do the same to him when he was having an exceptionally good day? Wait till that last few rounds and I'd be like, "I believe you're 70, that makes you 71 out of 75. You might shoot a perfect score today." And then we'd be like, "Oh, you jinxed me." That does it. A couple of times. We had good days. I don't know if we ever had, both of us had a 75 day together. I don't think so. We tried to make it challenging. We tried to make it where it, you know, it would, we'd stand in different spots and we'd aim the thrower different ways, and the guy stepping on the pedal would try to just make a little more challenging shot, and then of course he'd do the same for me when it became my turn to shoot. And we had a big time. And 75 rounds a week. And people see my Facebook posts where I go up to Walmart when they got the kind of shells that I really like, you know, when I buy 1,000 at a time. And they'd about freak out. Well, you know, if I get them like I want them, there's 100 shells to a box. You buy 10 boxes, and back then they were $21 for a box of shells. So it's like 1,000 rounds, 12 gauge for $210. Sign me up. And I really like those shells that I use because they work well in all my automatics, and they work good for 3-gun and competition. Just I'll tell you this, you won't find them now for $21 a 100. And it's about time for me to go up and get another 1,000, and I think they're $36 a 100 now. But still, $360 1,000 for 12 gauge ammo, 7.5, 1 1/8 ounce shot, 3 dram. That's hard to beat, you know. Look how slick. Man, locks up like a bank vault. I love it. Love it. So y'all get out and shoot some. I appreciate you tuning in today. Take care.